A lot of Christians, especially evangelical Christians, identify as pro-life. I myself would identify as pro-life. But I recently received an email by a person, presumably a skeptic, who asked the question, is God pro-life? He then went on to list a number of passages in which it seems as if God is commanding for people to do some pretty bad things, commanding that people be killed, including women and children, and that women should be taken against their will, and for men to force themselves upon them. And this person wanted me to respond to these passages. Now, the way I used to do Christian apologetics is that I would look at each of those passages and I would try to find some kind of loophole in which I could make God to look better in those passages. And that is not something I'm really interested in doing anymore. That's just not the way my current vision for Christian apologetics looks like. I know that there are lots of Christian apologists out there that just love to do that, and they can find very creative ways in which it looks as if maybe whatever is said there is justified. However, I've come to the conclusion that there's a lot of passages in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, that I don't fully understand. I don't know what actually happened in those cases when God is commanding Israel to go into the promised land and to wipe people out, and to on certain cities to kill every man, woman, and child. I have read the books, I have looked at the passages, I have some ideas, some thoughts myself, but I'm really not interested in trying to defend those things. Do I really believe that God has wanted and desired for people to rape women, for people to kill innocent people, for there to be genocide? Actually, I don't really believe that. Now, how do I fit that with my belief in the scriptures? Well, there's some tension there. There really is some tension. And I will say that my understanding of the inspiration of scripture does not necessarily leave me in a very wooden literalist way of understanding every passage, especially in the Old Testament. I definitely believe in historical events behind the things that are being described there. I'm not a purely allegorical kind of person, but I really don't know what exactly happened. I don't know how much of that is an author writing what happened and where they thought God was in that particular situation. I don't know. I just don't have the answers for that. But the thing is, my faith doesn't rely upon that. I don't need to have known exactly what took place. I don't need to have an answer for the most troublesome of passages. Yes, we look at things like Noah's Ark, despite often being used for babies and nurseries and children's decorations. It's really about wiping out a lot of people. And I do have views on that. I actually don't believe that the flood was a worldwide flood. I don't think it wiped out every single person. I think it was a localized flood. But that happens to be my view. But it doesn't matter. I don't have to have an answer to that. The reason that I'm a Christian is not because I can explain every troublesome passage in the Bible. The reason I'm a Christian is I'm convinced about Jesus. I'm convinced that Jesus really did exist. I'm convinced that he really was God in the flesh. I really believe that he was crucified and that something in that crucifixion reconciled us to God. And I believe that God raised his son Jesus on the third day, and it was an actual bodily resurrection. So I believe all of those things, and I don't have to understand all of the other things that are there. It's not that I ignore them. It's not that I don't wrestle with them. And it's not that I just put my fingers in my ears and make loud sounds and try to hope that everything is okay. The faith that I have now is not one of those that I did have at one point where everything had to hold together perfectly. You had to have an explanation for absolutely everything, or else the whole thing falls apart. I don't need that anymore. I am a follower of Jesus, and when I look at the Gospels, when I look at Acts and Paul's letters, what I see in all of that, I see something worth believing in, and that's where my faith is based on. So this is going to be a disappointing video to the person who wanted a response, but that's the best I can do, and I am not going to argue for something that I don't believe. I am just as disturbed by those passages as anyone, and I don't have the answers, but I am still a Christian, and I'm a Christian because of Jesus. Please visit me at my website, stephenjbedard.com, and thank you for watching this video.